Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Pull up a seat, there's something unique. You now tuned into something you ain't know that you need. Let's talk about it with Brenda. This high level conversations. Engage the community and change the vibrations. No more casualty, no matter nationalities. Let's have real talks and cut out all the fallacies. It's hard to change the circumstances being negligent. Empowering the people, you could be the president. Let's start programs and reach all the youth. If history been twisted, we should teach all the youth. No more politicking, putting pressure on the politicians. We need legislation that'll change our conditions. Meet me at the round table and let's conversate. Make a plan to action, cause ain't no time to wait. Let's change the fate, cause it ain't no more go along. You can always tune in here to know what's going on. You got something on your heart, let's talk about it. You need to find a place to start, let's talk about it. Community and unity, let's talk about it. You got something on your mind, let's talk about it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk About It with Brenda Coles. I just want to thank everybody for joining us today on this beautiful Sunday, May the 4th? Okay, May the 4th, 2025. Now, next week, let's not forget, it's going to be May 11th. That's going to be Mother's Day. So I hope everybody is getting your Mother's Day's plans for your wonderful mom, your grandmom, your auntie, anyone that took care of you along the way. I want you to make sure you show love. I've got a very special guest today. I've been talking to this gentleman for some months now, and I am just blown away by the work that he's doing in community when it comes to awareness and what he is doing to make sure that not just himself, but others are understanding what's going on and what has happened in the past and what is still going on today, the danger of what's going on. And my guest today is Mr. Anthony Peake, and he is out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He is the organizer of the Paper Boys. Now, some of you may have heard of the Paper Boys, and back in when it comes to Camp Lejuene, and then some of you may not, but we're going to talk about the contamination of the water at Camp Lejuene. Now, we've heard a lot about that. There's been in the media. There have been some lawsuits filed, but let me tell you something. Hearing the work that Anthony has been doing with this project and making people aware of what is going on is just mind-blowing. So, Anthony, I want to thank you for joining me today on Let's Talk About with Brenda Coles. Let's get started with, is there any other introduction that you want me to note other than you just the organizer of the Paper Boys?
No, just starting out, I just want to give honor to God because right now, my biggest it's things that I've been told you pick and choose your battles. This battle chose me because I was born on Camp Lejeune. So first off, I like to just give honor to God because without him, I could not have been here to or have the mindset to do the things that I'm capable of doing. I thank him for my experience that puts me in great custodianship of the records that I am in custody of. My records alone, whenever you're going against the government, you must have evidence about your situation. So we have over 5,000 records, and we're looking to digitize to speak our truth. And not only that, we're looking to put it in documentary format. So first, and speaking, when we do our podcast, we always give honor to God. So I just want to start off with just a basic prayer, because without God, none of this could be possible. And I just thank God right now for giving us this opportunity to be on your platform. We thank you for just being in the midst of this conversation. I thank you for just giving me the time and the mindset to do the things that are not of me, but for the movement of God. We have asked for God to put us in contact with people with like minds, and we just ask that He continue to guide our footpaths so that we will do the things that are pleasing not to God, but for the community that has been injured. And I just want to keep it basic, but we thank you right now in the name of Jesus. We pray, Amen.
Amen.
First, I have to do that because I lost my immediate family. So I'm the last one living to tell this story. I'm the only one that made it this far with the information that I have. And so it's very important that what I like to share with you and the public is that the Paper Boys are a group of, we have over 4 decades of Paper Boys that started in the late 50s and ended in the early 2000s. And it's over 200 that is still living. And in that 200, when we started out on Camp Lejuene, we were trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And no one had income. So the only thing at the time that we started working as children, the only thing that was free was the water. So the water has a big play in everything about the contamination. I had a brief conversation with another individual who father moved from South Carolina to work on Camp Lejeune and was party to building the pipeline for the water system. So it's so many different aspects of the story that I know for a fact that this will be historic. Along with the records that I've been privileged to have, we have the receipts for contamination. We have the study for contamination. We have original owners of Camp Lejeune. So it has so many different chapters to the documentary that we're in a position to tell a full story from start to finish, to how it was prior to Lejeune, to when Lejeune came in and did their eminent domain, to where the same people that they took land from, they turned around and paid them pennies on the dollar. And so we have so much information that we're wanting to right the wrongs that has occurred. And in doing so, in the Word of God, it says many people perish for the lack of knowledge.
That's
so
right.
My goal is to inform, give them the knowledge that wherever there was harm, they can be, we would say, they could get corrected. Their wrongs can be corrected through the information that I've been put in custodianship of. And my goal is to not only help them with the information, but also write the historical factors, which is there are one side of the story that knows the history of their ownership on the base. And then there's our side to that base that no one has a clue about. And so I've been privileged to have not only deed records, but also photos of how the buildings were prior to the base coming in. And that was a blessing in disguise. And now that we're under the new presidency, some of my requests are being held up. But any regard, it doesn't stop what I'm doing because I have enough to supersede whatever they're trying to hinder. So we're grateful for the position that I'm in, and I'm in a very peculiar situation because I understand deeds. I know how to go in and go back over 100 years and look for the original owners, and I could provide that information to various families that are also descendants. They're in the paperboy family, and they're descendants of the original owners. So it makes the group of people that I'm working with feel informed. It makes them feel empowered, and it's a beautiful thing when you can get on the phone and hear so many different storylines from off of this one scenario. So
And let me say this real quick. Let me say it one real quick, but let me tell you, and I'm glad you truly have enlightened me. Like I say, I have been speaking with you, so there's a lot of the information that you share with me. I've seen, especially with the homes that came, that it was there before Camp Lejeune. It has just truly been an honor. It's been an honor to be able to know you and the work that you have done with this as an organizer of the paper boys. Not only that, but the number of people of former paper boys that you have brought together to be able to empower about making this a wrong right. And it is unfortunate that you are held up from this former administration, the administration that we have in office, unfortunately. But like you say, it doesn't stop. It never stops us from continuing with the fight when it comes to community. But one thing I want to ask real quickly is that I do know that you have reached out to many organizations, and for help, advocates for help. And it is my understanding that William Reverend Barber organization have also reached back, the Poor People Campaign, which, I'm be honest with you, I don't think there's nobody better than Reverend Barber when it comes to helping people in the community, when it comes to community. So, and that is certainly a pride in itself. But where in your campaign is the Poor People Campaign? Where are they actually being able to help you pull this together, and what's going on there?
So right now, the Poor People Campaign, for the past 2 months, they open up their Zoom account. So we have Zooms every week on Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And we're able to use their platform. We're able to consult with them on different things concerning civil rights. Their group has stood behind us from day one, and we haven't even made ourselves public yet. So for them to jump on board before we even had our march is just noteworthy for us, for us to see that type of commitment, because we're looking to get more help after the march, after we go national, and then we're looking for people to support. But for them to support us in advance, it speaks highly about their organization, and to get in contact with their resources and the people that's on their staff. That's unheard of for us. So we're ecstatic to be partnered with a group that already has a reach, that has a network, and we're just sitting back trying to figure things out, because we're new to this piece because of the effect. I would call the effect. We are dealing with Marines that have DD-214s, retired over 20 years, where the government has denied them. So if the government denies someone with a paper trail, here we are as paper boys that work for cash, and we're standing up for our rights because we could not pass machine guns to go on base to work. We was on that workplace legally, and we also had to have IDs. And one of the things that we're fighting is trying to get our records, our work history records have been hindered and covered up. So we know from Mr. Ensminger, whom the PAC Act is named after his 9-year-old daughter, Janie Ensminger. He had to go up against the government through his VA commission, and they fought for FOIA records, in which, hence, that's why the PAC Act is in effect today. So we
But let me
give
ask,
honor.
let me ask you
Go ahead.
this. Let me ask you this for on a thought. When it comes to a lot of the service people that have lived on Camp Lejeune, which I had family
Yeah.
members myself that have
Yeah.
lived on Camp Lejeune for many years. And I'm talking about direct family members, sister, brother-in-law, nephews lived on Camp Lejeune for many years. And so tell me about that contamination of that water, where it started, and how many people do you know at this time that have been affected, or people that especially as service people that are ill and has gotten turned down. What do you know about that part?
So on paper, they knew from 1953 to 1987 are the alleged dates. I was born in 1970, so off the record, if the shoe was on the other foot, they call that premeditated murder. So if I was born in 70 and they got paper trail of 1953, that's 17 years prior to me being born on Camp Lejeune that they had for notice. So with the numbers, I would be lying to tell you an exact number because there's a lot of people that passed away. So there's a question mark to how many. But we know from 53 to 87, it's been over 100,000 people that enter in and out of that facility for training for various reasons. So with coming to Camp Lejeune in those years, it was just like a camp. So just put in the mindset, if I put up photos of the buildings, the shacks, you starting from woods to clear out the woods to now clear land to start building buildings for Marines to live in. So in that process, at a certain point of time, I have maps that show when they started building these pipelines to have a mass water system throughout that whole community. So once the water started taking place, when you learn about military, there's like a dress code. So now you're talking about the history of the ABC cleaners, which I would say probably was making close to $1 billion from just that one contract with Camp Lejeune and the surrounding bases. So when you look at the magnitude of the money that was generated like a government contract, they had no competitors. It was almost like a monopoly. So if the Marines in my community, they have to have a haircut every week. So to go up with their dress blues, they're clean cut and they had to have everything ironed and the shoes shine and to a T. So that was a cash cow business for that time period. So now you're getting into the cleaners started the revolution of cleaning business. And now you're dealing with first hand cleaning materials, the benzene, the TC, the PCE, the chemicals that they found that contaminated everything. So once you start going into the historical factor of where it started, where it began, now you can start understanding historically how things came about. So the biggest concern for the government was they failed to share for whatever reason with the community. And that's the reason we're here today is when I was working as a child at the age of 8 years old, from 78 to 85, we drank that water to stay cool. We worked in the heat of the day, sometimes over 100 degrees. So to get that fresh drink of water through the mess hall, through the barracks, through the gyms, um, it was just normal as a child. So you could think of your child, you sending them out, they're just working a normal job. Then 40 years later, we're seeing it circulate on TV just like an ad. And as those people are now deceased within that time period, we're the ones that are still standing here today to be able to speak the story. So we want to capture everything in a documentary for the ones that have passed away. So I have a separate list of over 50 paperboys that have passed away. So we know the contaminants have been here for a while. And we do know we have information that they're still testing. Today, they're still testing for those contaminants. So when you have the information that I have, it becomes very, very interesting that the local people are not informed of this very valuable information. And I believe that's what's going to change the narrative. Like for us, it's not just water contamination. We're also dealing with nuclear radiation. So without saying much, I like having documentation when I speak on certain matters. So we have documents of everything that I'm speaking on. I can pull up the documents and put them on a screen in back of me. And so those are the key.
And I was, excuse me, I'm sorry. And I was going to say to you, you know, I do know that you have a lot of documentation, and yes, you do always want to be careful, especially when you talk about such a historic case like this one. And
Yes.
one of the questions I was going to ask you, you answered it you answered a lot of it, because I wanted to talk about some of those contaminants, which you already named some of the contaminants. But can you tell me some of the paperwork that's passed and family members that's passed? What are some of the diseases in which that you all know through paperwork or believe through these contaminants that have killed these people?
Well, I'm just going to stick with
Or
my
contributed.
family.
Let me say contributed.
I'm going to stick with my family because I want to, for HIPAA reason, I'm going to stick with my deceased loved ones. My family, we have a history of kidney disease. I'm on dialysis. So for years, we thought it was hereditary. So thanks to Mr. Jerry Ensminger producing the documentation, revealing all the ailments. My grandfather, he was a mechanic's helper, and he died of kidney failure. And so I lost my mother to kidney failure. I had a brother in the NFL. All my siblings had kidney problems. So as I started doing my research, and thanks to my history with the Haley family, the Arthur roots, I was able to go deep into records and then locate certain things that the average person probably would overlook. So as I started having to prove my case with the government, with my own attorneys for my family, that's when I started discovering the original deeds and the original records that pinpoints every location of the contaminants. So in my group, I have maps of all the locations, the start dates, and where they're still having meetings about moving forward. So those are the concerns that I have for my community. I want to make them so that they can get active. Yes.
Exactly. Just real quickly, because I want to get to the March and then what we can do to help you. But I know sticking to your family, are you saying that I know you say that you thought it was hereditary.
Yes.
But are you saying that because you thought it was hereditary and learning down the road that it was not hereditary, that it is
Correct.
the contaminants is something that you know or you believe that did contribute to their
Correct.
death? And
Yes,
see,
I
this is
have.
very important. This is very important. I'm gonna tell you why. Anthony, this is so important in it, and I'm so glad that you're bringing this to light. I definitely want to know about the march. I want people to hear about the march, about what's going on. We already know that there have been lawyers out there for a while, for a long time now, that has talked about the contamination on Camp Lejeune. But this is the thing. You got somebody like Anthony that, like I say, as an advocate out here like us, doing this hard work of finding all these resources, all this documentation, and trying to make the community aware of not just on Camp Lejeune, but the surrounding communities of where he lived, or any some communities within that Camp Lejeune area aware that this is still going on. So, Anthony, tell us about the march, because I think that's going to be very important. I think people need to understand your support is greatly needed. So, Anthony, tell us about the march and what's going on with that.
The march we set for June the 14th, 2025 on a Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. from 724 Belfort Road to 818, which is the old main gate sign on Lejeune. And we're still in the works of being approved. We had a proposal for 8,500, and we do seek donations. If anyone wants to donate privately or individually, they can reach me at APTruckingLLC at yahoo.com. That's A as in Apple, P as in Paul, trucking like a truck driver, TRUCKING LLC at yahoo.com. Or they can reach me by phone, 743-637-8161, 743-637-8161. And we're looking for volunteers for the march. We're trying to get what they request. The DOT requested a traffic control plan diagram, which will allow us to safely operate our march, peaceful awareness march. And we just want to bring this to all the individuals that was impacted by the water. You could have been a family member. You could have lived on it, worked as a Marine, worked as civil service. But any way that you was impacted, it could have been a relative. We're here to advise all individuals so that they could be justified for the wrong that has occurred. And we don't want to speak but so much, but we know this is like an ongoing investigation. So when you're in the middle of it, you have to be limited of what you can share.
Right. And I agree with that. I do want to repeat that, you are all having a march on June 14th of this year, starting at, you said 10 a.m.?
11 a.m. is the start, and it's a 2-hour walk. It's 3.8 miles from Jacksonville Daily News, where we sold newspapers. That's where we, as the paper boys, entered into the water contamination. So we chose that as our starting location. And 818 Holcomb Boulevard is the entrance, where the ending of the march will be at the old main gate entrance. And we will depart there at 1 p.m.
And this march is, and I want to reiterate something you said. This march is about making people aware. Aware. This is awareness march. We do know that right now it is a very dangerous time. People don't want to get out there and march because of the type of administration we have. But this is very important. This is a awareness march, just making people aware of what's going on. So we do, so I'm asking everybody that can hear my voice today, that is watching this show today, to understand that this is about all of us, someone that family members, anyone that have been somehow connected to that base very well, may have, if they have passed on or they've been sick or something that happened, they have somehow been somehow connected to this. Once again, we know lawyers been out there for a very long time trying to get people to come out and say, hey, if you was on Camp Lejuene, so those are lawyers that are taking these cases like that. But then we got someone that is saying, hey, look, we know we got documentation. We've been doing the work, and we're asking you to come out and participate. Anthony, I know we're going to get ready to end. I want to thank you, first of all, because your bravery and everything that you've done in order to bring this to light is truly amazing. And like I said, and you said something earlier about, Reverend Barber and the Poor People's Campaign. They are truly just an amazing organization. And yes, they'll be the first ones. I'm not shocked that they have opened themselves up, because that's just who Reverend Barber is. And that's what the Poor People Campaign is all about. So I'm happy that there is such a wonderful organization. But let me tell you something. Anthony needs all of our help. And that's all of our help. If you can contribute monetarily, please do so. I'm gonna put this on, I'm gonna certainly have this at the end of the at the end, some information at the very end when we end out, so that you will be able to see it. You'll be able to give that get that information. Contact Anthony if you are willing to not be able to march, but be able to donate. Anthony, before we go, I just want to see if there's anything else that you want to add.
I think that's it for right now. I look forward to coming back and doing an update. And I appreciate you opening up your podcast to our group. And thank you kindly for the partnership.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I again want to thank everybody for joining us today on Let's Talk About It with Brenda Coles. This is what we got to do. We got to make sure that we always bring like-minded people together to actually just to let you know what is happening, what is going on, and what you can do to help. Everybody can be a help in any way, especially when it comes to community. This is what it's all about. I want to thank you all once again. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, next Sunday it's Mother's Day. We'll be doing some special things for Mother's Day. Please get your plans together. Don't forget those that have been there, that special person, that special woman that has been there. Rather, I don't care if it's your mother, your grandmother, your auntie, your sister, whomever been there to be someone special for you. So I see you next week on Let's Talk About It with Brenda Coles. Thank you.
Thank you.